The details. Nationwide News understands that former MP for West St. Mary, the PNP's Julian Silvera, changed his initial not guilty plea after investigators discovered forensic evidence conclusively linking the bullet that allegedly killed his wife to a gun registered to him. The police theorized that Melissa Silvera was murdered in the couple's Stony Hill home and did not die in her sleep as initially reported. George Davis has the latest on the case that has gripped national attention.
Nationwide News understands that as per protocol, the country's firearm licensing authority, FLA, keeps a bullet that is fired from the gun of each licensed firearm holder. The bullet contains unique marks which correspond to the firearm issued to each firearm holder. Those unique indentations on the bullet are referred to as bullet striation marks or simply a ballistic fingerprint. Nationwide News understands that Julian Silvera was arrested after his wife's funeral. This after he had initially led family and friends to believe their loved one had died in his sleep. He was taken into custody after an autopsy was performed on Melissa Silvera and the bullet retrieved from her body. All sources say the suspicions of investigators were initially aroused based on the awkward positioning of Melissa's body at the crime scene. It's understood the position of her body brought into question the explanation that she died peacefully in her sleep. It's also understood she was not shot in the vagina, as was initially widely circulated online. But nationwide sources say the bullet retrieved from Melissa's body had the same unique striation marks which 100% matched the bullet kept by the FLA, which corresponded with the licensed firearm it had issued to Julian Silvera. This piece of compelling evidence led investigators to conclude that Melissa Silvera was killed by a bullet fired from the licensed firearm issued to the man she had vowed to stand by, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do they part. That is how, despite investigators finding that his gun barrel appeared to have been tampered with, former Member of Parliament and influential PNP politician failed to escape being charged in connection with his wife's death. George Davis for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, our news center can confirm that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has not yet indicated whether it will accept the guilty plea offered by former Member of Parliament Julian Silvera in relation to the death of his wife, Melissa. That decision is expected when the matter is called up in court on Tuesday. If the lesser charge of manslaughter is accepted by the prosecution and the presiding judge, Chief Justice Brian Sykes, the former legislator would face a maximum of 20 years in prison. The former PNP lawmaker for Western St. Mary on Monday indicated his willingness to plead guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter in the high-profile case. Silvera's intention was apparently raised when he appeared in the gun court in Kingston on Monday. At the previous court sitting in January, Silvera's attorneys had applied for an independent examination of critical ballistic evidence, resulting in a delay to the proceedings. Silvera is charged with murder, manslaughter, and using a firearm to commit a felony. Melissa Silvera was found dead at the couple's home in Stony Hill, St. Andrew on November 10, 2023. Julian was arrested and charged in January 2024 and has remained in custody since. If the guilty plea is rejected, he faces 50 years to life in prison if convicted of his wife's murder. Silvera is being represented by King's Counsel Peter Champagny and Attorney-at-Law Patrice Riley.
Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. Breaking news. Julian Silvera pleads guilty to manslaughter in wife's death. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we, the Jamaican popular people, the Jamaican people on a whole, we knew all along that this man was the one who unalived his wife. But as they say, we allow the law to take its course before we say anything. And we refrained from having public discussion about it. Why? Because it was still before the courts. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after months of back and forth, this man have finally admitted that he was the one who unalived his wife. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when I listened to the People's National Party bad-mouthing Mr. Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party team during the election campaign, saying one by one they're going to jail. Now this man is a former lawmaker, a former politician under the People's National Party ticket, ladies and gentlemen, find himself on the other side of the law. What is wrong with these people? Can't they find a better way of handling their problems than to resort to violence? Come on! Shame on you! Shame on you, sir! Shame on you! Go and do your time!
He made the smartest move in the book. His lawyer told him, hey, you know you did it, just plead guilty. Because, like, literally speaking, the body was like, you wrap up the body. You wrap up the body, like, you wrap it up like a normal Tuesday. Like, it's something, like, serial killers do this. Like, I think couldn't understand. Like, I cannot comprehend killing somebody. I cannot comprehend it. I don't know how people do it and just, like, casually do it. But I cannot do it because for the life of me, I don't think I can sleep. When somebody kills somebody and then go work, like every time, I feel like everybody would have know that about me. I feel like every time somebody would have know that about me, say me kill somebody, and when they don't know nothing. Because in my head, anxiety would not take over my whole body, my whole entire body. Every minute me have diarrhea. There's no, I don't think certain things me can do. Certain things me just not have the courage for do. My anxiety would have take me over, like literally speaking. Anxiety would have killed me. Anxiety alone would have take me out. But the best thing to do in this situation is plead guilty. You do it already. Just plead guilty and don't waste the court time. Because if you actually go to trial and they find you guilty, you're going to get a longer time because you waste the court time and resources. Just plead guilty. And them give you like a plea deal. Maybe them say, alright, if you plead guilty, maximum we'll give you 12 years. Maximum we'll give you is whatever. Just plead guilty.
Good morning, listeners. At 11:25 a.m. on this Monday, February 2, 2026, Nationwide News can report that Julian Silvera, the former member of parliament for Western St. Mary, has given instructions to his attorney to change his plea to guilty in the matter concerning the death of his wife, Melissa Silvera. We understand that Julian Silvera's plea is his position, his instructions are that his plea be changed to guilty relating to the charge of manslaughter. That is what we understand, not murder. He's not pleading guilty to murder, but that he's pleading guilty, he wants to plead guilty to a charge of manslaughter. Now, it's of course up to the prosecution to determine if they will accept that course of action in this matter. But a significant turn of events, and we understand that it follows the publication of ballistics evidence. Of course, the government will have its own evidence from the ballistics office. The defense will have, of course, sought to get their own, and based on how both sets of tests correspond and the overlay, we have been made to understand that it is the considered opinion of the man at the center of this matter, Julian Silvera, that his plea be officially recorded as guilty to the charge of manslaughter. I repeat, Julian Silvera, we understand, has told his lawyers that he wants to plead guilty to the charge of manslaughter in the matter concerning the death of his wife, Melissa Silvera, at the couple's matrimonial home. We'll have much more on this